I'm I met Jacob. He's online now. Your friend.
Yeah, how's he going?
He's doing fine.
Oh, excellent.
Pretty soon he'll begin to start pulling the same trigger that you're pulling. It really does take a while to sink in, and so we need to hear the Dhamma over and over again. That we begin to delight in hearing the Dhamma because every time we hear it, it's like something else clicks. Oh, you mean I'm still holding on to that? Yep, there it goes.
And it's not like seeing it one time, it's seeing it over and over again. You can't just like, picked, what came out to me in the video was like when you said things still keep happening and you have to be on guard. It's like you shave, you have to keep shaving. It's something about that image and metaphor. It's like, oh, you can't, like I kind of expected at a certain point, I can just sort of coast by and not have to do anything. But it's like there is still that you have to be on watch. Like you can't, just because you know about it doesn't mean you can't not do the work.
Exactly so. This is when we are out of balance with right effort. And everyone does that. Most people will bounce back and forth between too much effort, working too hard, or not enough effort, not staying vigil, not watching. And so um, we get out of balance and the hindrances come back. Or they never really got, a lot of people will start meditation and they never do get rid of the hindrances, never even come to the first day or the first state of satisfaction, rather than learning how to practicing it over and over and over again. And some students will hear the videos and say, okay, all I have to do is what he's saying to do. Go get some pity. Here it is. Go get some sukha. Here it is. Go get some mind fit for work. Here it is. Ta da, I'm finished. The job is done. And now there's no more reason to try anything.
Mm.
And so
And
they
it's
give
like,
themselves a label or something, and then I've done it, and they in fact don't recognize, oh no, this needs to be done over and over and over again, just like we feel bad over and over and over again. Going back to that word serious, how many times have you been serious in your life?
I don't know, countless.
And so you were serious over and over and over and over and over again. Okay, so which side of the balance scale of habit do you find serious? And then where's the other one with joyful watching the breath? Now, that's just, you know, so we need to keep practicing that and start adding to that while we're no longer allowing the habit of seriousness. Here's something very interesting. In Thailand, those Thai people who know and use the word serious do so out of Thai culture, and that it normally here's what happened is that during Vietnam War, when the during the R&R, the military would come to Thailand, they'd get drunk, rowdy, angry, and start bemoaning everything that's gone wrong. You know what they're drunk and proud is the game they're playing, and so these Thai women are listening to them. And she says, "Oh, you are so angry." And he says, "No, I'm just serious." And so that and I've heard that used before. Oh, he's being serious now. Not even talking to him about it, but he's angry. Oh, well, thank you. Got some cake. I tell you what, I'll have it later because I'm on the call. You want to say hi to Ashley? Kitty's
Hey,
7
how's it
now.
going?
Talk to him. You don't have the headphones. Here, we'll put the headphones on.
Hi, Kitty. How's it going?
I 7.
I'm 7,
Pardon?
huh?
Oh, that's a nice age.
She speaks mostly Thai language, but now she knows that she can speak English some. Okay, well, thank you, Kitty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, is my cake going to go bye-bye? Yeah, well, you keep Lucky away from it or she'll make it go bye-bye. Okay. So much for being serious. Oh, wait a minute. So much for having fun. Let's get serious now about the Dhamma. So, being serious, getting angry. Actually, the quality of serious is go to work. There's work to be done, and you can be happy and satisfied after the work is finished, or maybe after you get the results of the work.
Is this sort of like related to the Westerners' sort of innate Protestantism, the work ethic thing? Like a
Well,
good day's work.
actually, I would go so far as to say this is not so much as the work ethic as it grew up. It grew up, let us say, depends upon how far back you go, but you could think of it as the slavers. When the king puts his farmers to work building pyramids, that's the start of it. But if it's got to have some mutual benefit, that they used to think that the pyramid builders, the actual construction people, were slaves. But then they dug up the remains of the dwelling places for them and recognized, oh no, it looks like they had a pretty good life, and that the king was able to control the grain, so they didn't eat if they didn't work. And so basically that whole mentality that started so long ago, in fact, didn't start then. It was long before that. That was a very sophisticated place. Oh, no. Ho, ho, ho.
Giving the gift of the Dhamma.
Thank you, Kitty. Oh, now she's got another. This, by the way, is just about the sum total of Christmas in Thailand.
Not
This
a
is
big thing.
not a big thing. In fact, you can say even this much of it came from Tesco, a European company that has grocery stores here. Their checkout girls would put these on at Christmas time. And so that's all there is to Christmas in Thailand, is what the department stores do. So there's none of the traditions. Well, this is tropical, so what's a Yuletide log?
I honestly have no idea.
And dragging a pine tree into the house, or a spruce, or a fir of some kind, makes no
not
sense.
gonna happen.
That's not going to happen. We can drag a palm tree in here, but you have the same basic issues in Australia.
Yeah, it's hot as shit out here.
Yeah, right. What can you do? I mean, with Santa Claus in his red suit, take that thing off, and so
He's
Santa
gonna get a
Claus
heat stroke.
in Australia is turned into a bikini that's red with white fur lining. And this is about all there is left to Christmas in many places. or that's all that ever got to in Asia. That's is very much an American holiday. So back to being serious. Uh, in America, they're really serious about Christmas.
Same over here, to be honest.
They're really serious about it. And here's the thing, it's so important, it's so serious that most of the retail stores don't make any money all year until December, starting with Black Friday. It's the time to go shopping. In other words, if people would buy what they needed to buy, most of the retail businesses will go out of business. But this splurge season, getting really serious about generosity and whatnot, is what drives the American economy. And so many things are associated with that. If you go shopping for, say, a television in February or March, that'll be the highest price. The best price is at Christmas time. They're really serious about it.
You've got to be generous.
Or greedy, in the sense of the expectations of the kids that is brought up to be really greedy, to go see Santa Claus, to go to the department store that has all of this stuff in it for the kids. So toy sales. And so when the adults grow up, they buy toys for themselves at that time of year.
Daddy, you get
Okay. Something serious. Jerky. Oh, wait a minute. It's already open. Today is Sunday, the day off. So the porch here becomes kind of a thoroughfare. Life is easy enough. So this is a very interesting point about this seriousness, is because that is possibly one of the major reasons why people begin to do meditation, and then they begin to get more serious about it. But there's two ways to get serious about it. One is becoming dedicated to the path or spending more time doing it. But the other one is getting serious in the sense of spending more time doing it because we are seeing some benefit out of it and we want more benefit out of it. And so becoming satisfied with what we're getting out of the meditation will direct us towards doing it more and more often. And so this is part of the path of Sotapan, is to become more and more into it. But we're doing more and more into it because we're getting more and more out of it. Every time we put it in, we get it out right then. Every time I remember to be happy, here I am. And so getting these hindrances out of the mind is a major issue, because you can see that even though people think that they're practicing properly, they're serious, or they're greedy, they want more out of it, or that they're working too hard, or they think that they've got it now, and then they stop working and here it comes back again, and now they get resentful. I thought I'd shaved.
Or they're putting too much stock into, too much pressure on it, and then they're not wanting to meditate because it becomes, they're not getting what they want out of it.
Exactly. And so there are many, many different ways to say about how students practice incorrectly. But it basically boils down to this one thing about being out of balance in the amount of effort that is put in. So thinking about and putting in just the right amount of effort is actually part of the practice. That this is something that Achan Semedo talked about it in the word reflection, and that originally the way that I thought he was talking about it was reflecting upon it in the past. Like, how am I doing, Daddy? Am I crying or pooping in my diaper as much this year as I did last year? Okay, that kind of idea. But then I begin to understand no more is what he's talking about is the reflection that a mirror has right here, right now. And that what we need to do is a fairly full investigation, including not only bringing up sati, but reflecting upon how is it? Is it good enough? How are those hindrances? Which one of them are here? Beginning to pay closer attention. This is actually an aspect of the investigation, of really
So,
look at what's going on.
so like sometimes I feel like this is a thing I'll be doing where I do remember and I bring up a certain amount of joy, but then I'm in like, oh, I wanted a bit more, or and then
Right.
I sort of have swapped out a different hindrance. So like I had been feeling agitated about something at work, for instance, and I'm like, oh, I remembered to be mindful, or I come in, and then I do get that little bit of release, but then just a new hindrance comes in, and then I'm not being mindful of that. So I think that's something, you know what I mean? Like I can't just ride on the coattails like, oh, I remembered. It's like you keep looking at the mind as you're breathing, seeing if it's clear of the hindrances still.
So we actually have then two kind of different ways. It's really the same thing, but we kind of practice in the sense of our sitting meditation versus our walking around and living all day meditation. The sitting down meditation, we're intently interested in getting the mind sharp and focused and staying that way and watching closely. And in the beginning, that will not be so closely watching, and so the mind will wander away, and so we begin to be on guard, or we have the determination. I'm going to remember to stop thinking about whatever it is that I would be thinking about when the mind has wandered away, and start thinking about what's going on right now, including the budding and the building of the joy. Okay, so that's the way of looking at it. But then out in the world, the way that we would do it is to recognize the mind's going to be wandered away into all kinds of stuff all the time. That's the nature of the mind, is to just kind of take care of whatever's coming up. But what we're going to do is we're going to start doing things frequently to wake us up out of that and put us into that state that we were practicing while we were sitting. And so that's the reason that I give so many students the trigger of every time that you sit down in a chair, go back into that state of the samadhi that you were able to gather together in your sitting practice, and start doing that all throughout the day as often as you can remember to do it. It would be like they say, or I have seen it written, that there are 14,000 breaths on average a day. I think Dhamma dudes don't breathe quite that much. Our breathing is kind of slower. But the point that I'm making is that the beginning meditator, when he's sitting in practice, may see the mind wandering away from the breath 4, 5, 6 times. And the Goenka retreats, they know all about it, that by day 6, the students are really frustrated because now they're catching the mind running away 30, 40, 50 times. On day 1, they would say monkey mind, but on day 6, it's monkey mind, monkey mind. It's just wandering all over them. And in fact, what's actually happening is their sati is getting good. They're practicing correctly. And by practicing correctly, they're beginning to see what a monkey the mind actually is. Now, I'm not sure that the word monkey is the best word for it, but Freud used the word free association. I think you and I have talked about it in the sense of junk thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's it. When throughout the day can you wake up out of that junk thought system and clean the mind of basically all the hindrances that you've been cleaning out during the sitting meditation, but now you're going to just whoosh them out with the thought of, aha, time to relax. This is a good moment to relax. And so I can take that deep breath and sit down in the chair and cool off, cool the mind down with kind of the thought, this is really nice. This is good. And I can take 2 or 3 deep breaths and get myself into a state of satisfaction. Now, you do that over and over and over again, 30, 40, 50 times a day, and it'll start to now really build up the habit. The skill gets more development now when we do these 2 things together. The sitting practice is really, really valuable. Many students, I would not say all students, but many, and I have students who we just start out in how to practice throughout the day and don't even get into sitting yet because I don't think that they're ready to. They would automatically, whatever they put into it, they would put in too much effort. And then they would resent it. So it's good to just rock along and say just anytime you can remember to sit down and enjoy your moment. But with those that are doing the 2 together, that means that when you do sit down and enjoy that moment, you're really going to let yourself do it. It's not going to come down from a state of, I really do hate my life, into, well, I can get along with it, which is a major, which is a major place to come back to that ordinary state. But we're actually practicing on actually deep satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
To be completely satisfied with the way things are, to really see that what a wonderful world. And that world is in fact the Dhammakai. That world is in fact the universe. That world that we're talking about now is not the world of the human society and the world of our thoughts, but the actual world that's a wonderful world is the world we can only experience in the here now. And here it is. And it is so magnificent. It's a flood, in fact, of events happening constantly. And it's really nice to just sit and let it pass you by.
Can I ask a couple questions about meditation related phenomena? One that you mentioned was this cooling thing,
Mm-hmm.
and something I've sort of observed is like when you're in hindrances, like you've said, it's kind of like there's a heat and the bhanas are cooling, and it's like there is actually a sense of like when I'm clinging to a hindrance or whatever, I do feel warmer. It feels like, I'm really reacting to something, and I guess stress is building or whatever. And then when I come into the present moment or whatever, the here now, there's like a release,
Mm-hmm.
and sort of the mind sort of retreats a bit, and like the world comes in a bit more. If you kind of know what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I hear you just repeating what I just said. So, yes. And I'm glad to hear that that is beginning to click for you. That you're not taking what I'm saying seriously, but you're taking it delightfully. In a very delighted way, in the sense of um, not heavy at all. They become very, very light, fluffy. Icha. This is Pumpui. And she comes up here to get a scratch. So, you said you had another question. I hear that things are beginning to click for you, and I think that's really great.
I guess it's like in relation to this sort of happens with other things as well, though, right? Like when you hold on, what am I trying to say? I guess it's like the hindrances are just going to cloud your perception of something, so you can tell if you're feeling dukkha over something, you know that you're sort of in hindrance.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a sign it's time to clear it out with the right effort and the right sati. And that's the right sati, that clearing it out. So I guess that's what I finally kind of got, that, you know, it's like that active monitoring of when dukkha is arising. And that's the trigger to know that we're in hindrance. So then we can just like leave it. And I feel like that's, I don't know. I'm getting it a bit more.
Okay. There's two ways to do this. One way is to practice that whenever we think, whenever we wake up, whenever we start to recognize that it's better to be here now than it is to be whatever state I was in before, then we just do that. Okay? In other words, whatever it is in the mind, just throw it out. And bring something, and we do the throwing out. Basically, think about it like this, that the mind is kind of like a small table, and you can only have so much on that table at this particular moment in time, or this particular instant. And in order to put something new on the table, you have to kind of sweep off what was on the table. And so if thoughts of seriousness, or if our thoughts of I want something out of the meditation, or just thoughts about tomorrow are in the mind, and we recognize what's on the mind, then by putting something new onto the mind, the old stuff automatically falls off. So what we need to do then is to put something really wholesome on our mental table, which is the thoughts of this instant. And so the thing that I recommend for students would be, aha, I caught you. Aha, there you are, is another way of saying it. And that's because that has such a joy to it. Or wow, I'm so glad to see you, Mr. Hindrance. Because otherwise what's going on is the hindrance is there, but I'm not seeing it. So wow, I'm so glad to see you is like it came and knocked on the door, but in fact it was already there. And so, oh, I'm really glad to see you is the right way to look at it. Why? Because if we see the hindrance and then they say, oh, there it goes, monkey mind again. Oh, this is so much work. Oh, poor me. Oh, I resent have to throw the hindrances out one more time. And this is the way that the students do it. Why? Because that's their whole life. They've been thinking that way their whole life. So even when sati comes, that doesn't mean they're going to put in the right effort. You know, you've been there, done that, huh?
It's like you've been there with every meditation, sitting and watching, because it's like, you know, or something good will come up, and then you just just that little, the nudge. You just sort of want to, I'm not even being like, oh, this is rubbish, this is crap. It's like, oh, just a little bit more tranquility, or a little bit more letting go, a little bit more relaxation in the body. And then I just sit around, then I just sort of follow the body around, just trying to relax it. And it's like, I'm kind of like shaking myself, going, relax, relax, like.
Wayne Dyer wrote a book in the 1970s that everybody laughed at the title when he said, and this is the title of the book. Literally, a psychologist wrote a book by this title: You Must Relax. What an oxymoron that is. Relax because you don't have to do anything now is a better way of saying it, but You Must Relax was the name of his book. Now, he was right in a way, but almost always we take that must in the frame of the way that we've always taken it is do what you're told to do. So whether you resent it or not, you don't have to enjoy it. In fact, I don't care whether you enjoy it or not. You just do what you were told to do.
Like taking the sour medicine or whatever.
Exactly. Here, take your medicine. Precisely. Learn your ABCs. Read that book. Learn that poem.
And the thing is, a lot of this stuff I actually really like doing. Like I really like to read books and I really like learning and stuff. But, when I get into this thing of like, oh, it's not enough, or I need to read this, then this, or I need to do, then it becomes, it defeats its own thing. Like that's what gets in the way of me doing what I want to do.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all good.
Well, that's how to say it. When you're doing that, that's a hindrance. Even what I'm saying is that the mind running completely away is the beginner's job to do. But now that you've gotten the skill, you also have to begin to see, some people call them background thoughts. And what you're having the thoughts of is keeping you serious in the sense of, well, the last breath was nice, but I'm going to make the next breath better. Always looking for something else, okay? And that that actually sort of indicates that there's still that dissatisfaction in there. There's still that dukkha. Because we want something that we don't have.
It's like, this is not enough, by saying that, I just want to get that little bit more. It's sort of implying because this isn't enough.
Exactly. That's a hindrance. And we're in this, because of this conversation, we're labeling that as be serious. Come on, you've got some benefits out of that meditation. You've got some joy, but come on, let's be serious about it. And so we rob ourselves of the satisfaction that we have actually built up by wanting it to be better. And so we're not actually practicing the right skill at the right moment. We're actually practicing being dissatisfied. Well, let us say that you are, in fact, improving something or another. Every time that you get something, then you're dissatisfied and you want to make it better, and it gets better and better and better and better and better and better and better, but it's still not good enough. How high does it have to get, and we're still dissatisfied with it? When, in fact, that dissatisfaction is the hindrance itself.
And
we're
it's
not,
sort of,
and
oh, sorry.
while we are making progress, we're not making any progress. Or another way of saying it is, when are you going to stop making progress and enjoy where you are? I have a little poem about it, about the pilgrim's progress. You've heard that phrase before. When the pilgrim stops being in progress, then he can be a Buddha. But so long as he's progressing, he'll never make it. So imagine that the pilgrim actually does get to the holy place. He gets to the shrine. What does he do when he gets to the shrine? Does he continue to progress? If he does, he'll have to leave that shrine and go to the next shrine. But if he does find that holy place, then he stays there, right? Well, while he's staying there, he's not making any progress. And so that's another way of saying it. Actually stop making progress. And stay in the holy space that you are now. It can only get more holy while you stay there.
That makes a lot of sense.
Enough already. Pull out, pull out. Yes, it does kind of make sense, but it also goes against the way that we've always been taught. But so long as we want to make progress, then that means that we're not satisfied with where we are. And that's what sukha is all about. The opposite of dukkha is learning to become satisfied with the way things are.
Actually, that does remind me of something about sukha. You know, and you said samadhi of the, you know, it's that unification. What are the other factors that you gather? It's sukha,
Okay.
piti,
Of the
and
first jhana, the 5 factors to be gathered together is number 1, seclusion from the hindrances, to get them out. But the mind is still active and still thinking. And so what we're thinking about then is this present moment. What we begin to think about is what's happening right now, as opposed to just letting the thoughts go. So seclusion from hindrance is 1. But I've already indicated that now we're going to apply and keep the mind sustained on something that we choose.